hard time logging in. So dear devotees, thank you all for being here today. Today we are very much blessed. We are so much fortunate. We have the association of His Grace Prabhu, who is a very precious spiritual uncle to most of us, at least on this platform. Maybe an uncle or maybe a great uncle to lots of us. So, Prabhuji, thank you for being here once again. Would you try to unmute so we see if your microphone is working? You're still muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Good.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. So without further ado, Prabhuji will put the verse on the screen and then you take it over.
Okay.
Hare
So,
Krishna.
I should read the verse from the Bhagavatam, right?
Yes.
So I'll chant.
If you have, you may chant the whatever pronouns, mantras, Mangalacharam you want to chant, you may do so.
Okay.
But we'll put the verse on the screen. If it is not clear to you, you may read from your book, but we'll put on the screen so others will follow also. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Nava idam rajashi varyashitram Bhavatsu Krishnam Shamanu Vrateshu Ya Dhyashanam Raja Kirita Justam Sadyo Jahur Bhagavat Parsha Kaman Na either Va like this Idam this Rajarshi Saint King Varya the chief Chitram astonishing Bhavatsu unto all of you Krishnam Lord Krishna Samanu Varateshu unto those who are strictly in the line of Ye who Adhyasanam seated on the throne Rajakririta helmets of the kings Jushtam decorated Sadhya immediately Jahu gave up Bhagavat the personality of Godhead Varshakama desiring to achieve association. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The sages said, O chief of all the saint kings of the Pandu dynasty who are strictly in the line of Lord Sri Krishna, it is not at all astonishing that you give up your throne, which is decorated with the helmets of the many kings, to achieve eternal association with the personality of Godhead. Purport. Foolish politicians who hold political administrative posts think that the temporary posts they occupy are the highest material gain of life. And therefore, they stick to those posts even up to the last moment of life, without knowing that achievement of liberation as one of the association of the Lord in His eternal abode is the highest gain of life. The human life is meant for achieving this end. The Lord has assured us in the Bhagavad Gita many times that going back to Godhead, His eternal abode, is the highest achievement. Prahlad Maharaj, while praying to Lord Nrsimha, said, "O my Lord, I am very much afraid of the materialistic way of life. and I am not the least afraid of your present ghastly, ferocious feature, Lord Nrsingadev. This materialistic way of life is something like grinding stone, and we are being crushed by it. We have fallen into this horrible whirlpool of the tossing waves of life, and thus, my Lord, I pray at your lotus feet to call me back to have back to your eternal abode as one of your servitors. This is the summit liberation of this materialistic way of life. I have very bitter experience of the materialistic way of life. In whichever societies of life I have taken birth, compelled by the force of my own activities, I have very painful experience two things, namely separation from my beloved and meeting with what is not activities, what is not wanted, and to counteract them, the remedies which I undertook were more dangerous than the disease itself. So I drift from one point to another, birth and death, and I pray to you, therefore, to give me a shelter at your lotus feet. The Pandava kings, who are more than many saints of the world, knew the bitter results of the materialistic way of life. They were never captivated by the glare of the imperial throne they occupied, and they sought always the opportunity to being called by the Lord to associate with him eternally. Maharaj Parikshit was the worthy grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthir. Maharaj Yudhishthir gave up the imperial throne to his grandson. And similarly, Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthir, gave up the imperial throne to his son Janamejaya. This is the way of all the kings in the dynasty, because they are all strictly in the line of Lord Krishna. Thus, the devotees of the Lord are never enchanted by the glare of materialistic life, and they live impartially, unattached to objects of the false, illusory, materialistic way of life. Om Aganya Tivrandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhava Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhya Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha. Okay. This is a very wonderful verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 1, Chapter 19, and particularly this verse, number 20. This is a very special verse because Srila Prabhupada has very nicely explained that the kings, these are actually Rajarshi kings, the great kings, the Pandavas, that they're in the line of Sri Krishna. So they're very not ordinary kings. Like it's mentioned in the Bhagavatam and in the Bhagavad Gita elsewhere, that Raja Rishi, the saintly kings, that they are the leaders of the world who led the world to make people of the world to become Krishna conscious. But we can learn from this, their examples, that these kings were, their basis of their managing the world, ruling the world, was to make people of the world become God conscious. And so therefore they were not actually attached to the position they had, because they wanted to make everyone only Krishna conscious. And when their time to leave this world, they simply gave it all up to pursue spiritual life. Unlike the modern world today, we see, Prabhupada mentioned here, the foolish politicians who hold political administrations posts, think that these temporary posts they occupy are the highest materialistic gain of life. And therefore, they stick to those posts even to the last moment of life, without knowing that achievement of liberation is one of the association of the Lord in his eternal abode, is the highest gain of life. So Prabhupada has very simply explained that that is the real purpose. The material way of life is that they are attached to material achievements. But actually, we understand the material achievement is nothing but it's a temporary achievement. Because here, real achievement is spiritual way of life, is to association of the devotees, association of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So this is the real teachings of those examples of saintly kings, because their main achievement in life is how they can associate Krishna in the spiritual world, how to return back to Godhead and associate with the Lord himself in the spiritual world. So even while they're in the material world, they're actually not in the material world, because they are practicing Krishna consciousness. They are serving Krishna as a duty to their spiritual master, as duty to Krishna. So while in the material world, they're actually in the spiritual world. So what to speak of going to the spiritual world, because when they're in the spiritual world, they're already ready, because they're already here in the spiritual world. So the main problem is an attachment to the position one may have, a material position one may have. But actually, in the case of a devotee, there's no such thing as material, because they're doing this service to the duty, as a duty to Krishna. Even management is a duty to Krishna. So it is devotional service. So there is no such thing as attachment. So their attachment is serving Krishna. So they're managing the world because they're doing on behalf of Krishna. So it is devotional service. So they see it this way. So there's no attachment. So when we make ourselves in the center, we think we are fascinated by material enjoyment, and we think we put ourselves in the center, then it becomes material. But when you see things, even like I said, even in the management, we are doing spreading Krishna consciousness. This is spiritual. So it is spiritual activity. It is devotional service. It is duty to Krishna. It is duty to Prabhupada. So the problem is when we become attached to a material way of life. So even as devotees, we can become um, turn away from that attachment to Krishna because of association with the material world. So the only solace in Krishna consciousness, in spiritual way of life, is that we have to always remember that the duty where we have, it is to please Krishna, it is to serve Krishna, it is to, I'm doing to please Krishna. So when we forget this, we become attached to material way of life. But it's mentioned here, to counteract them, the remedies which I undertook, it's mentioned here by the Yudhishthira Maharaj and Parikshit Maharaj and the Pandavas, were not dangerous than the disease itself. So I drift from the one point to another, birth and death. And I pray to you, therefore, to give me a shelter at your lotus feet. The Pandavas, kings, who are more than many saints of the world, knew the bitter results of the materialistic way of life. They not um, um, so I drift from uh, were never one point to another, birth and death. And I pray to you, therefore, to give me a shelter at your lotus feet. The Pandava kings, who are more than many saints of the world, knew the bitter results of the materialistic way of life. They were never captivated by the glare of the imperial throne they occupied. And they sought always the opportunity of being called by the Lord to associate with him eternally. So that's very clear. They always know underneath that their main objective and their main purpose is to go back to Godhead, is to go to the spiritual world. See, we have to keep in mind that even we are here performing our service to Krishna, we can gradually drift away from this goal. So to remember that our main purpose of doing anything, it is to please Krishna, and at the end of life is to go back to Krishna in the spiritual world. So if we forget this goal, we become attached to a material way of life, even as devotees. So there is a clear cut in everything we do in serving Krishna, so we don't drift away from this goal. So it's a very serious matter to perform service to Krishna, because by serving Krishna, we are getting purified. That is devotional service. Devotional service is very purifying. So the moment we forget the goal is that I'm doing this to please my Guru, I'm doing this service to please Krishna, I'm doing this service for purify my own self. Just like we're having this talk right now. For me, it's the middle of the night, but it's nothing to do with material activities, my sleep. As soon as we talk about Krishna, as soon as we discuss the topic of philosophical topics, we're raising our consciousness. So spiritual consciousness is that we're not here anymore in the material world. We're in the spiritual hemisphere. So therefore, if we can remain in this platform of Krishna consciousness, we're not touched by material world, even though you're in the material world. Like I was saying last time, that like a lotus leaf is in the water, but it's not touched by it. Similarly, we have to realize this. The more we perform service, the more we chant Hare Krishna, the more we associate with devotees, we are transcendentally situating ourselves on that spiritual platform. So these kings, Maharaj Parikshit, Yudhishthir Maharaj, they were all in the line of Sri Krishna. They're not ordinary king like the kings we have in this world or the leaders of this world. Because these kings, they were in the line of Krishna. They are Krishna's family. So they were doing managing the world on behalf of Krishna. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas, they all came down here. Their main objective, their main goal, also to serve their spiritual master as a duty to Krishna. So when you're talking about duty, just like a people who are in the family, husband, wife, they have a duty to each other. So we also have a duty to our spiritual master. We have duty to Krishna. In fact, a disciple is one who completely dedicated to the spiritual master. They don't have any other motive. Their motive is how I can serve Krishna, how I can please Krishna, like I said. So other than that, so they don't get caught up in the material world. So therefore, it's a very clear cut. We have to always remember ourselves that I'm here to serve Krishna. So we don't get bogged down in the material way of life, because the material way of life is a very dangerous, in the mature world, it's a very dangerous place. Pure devotees of Krishna, they don't want to get too involved in it. They remain here, but they're above it. So that's why they had the throne, even though they are in the spiritual world, in the material world, they are not attached to it. This is a very important point for all of us as devotees, because even when you're performing devotional service, there is opulent comes in, and people, fame, name, these things, they come. But we have to always remember that this is all the mercy of Prabhupada. This is all the mercy of Krishna, and that we accept these facilities to serve Krishna. And this is Krishna's. Everything is Krishna's. I always think to myself, opulent, material opulence, they grip onto the devotee as we perform service, because that's how it is. Krishna, opulent, Krishna provides, and Krishna send down like heaps of opulence to a devotee who is serving Krishna. But the devotee knows this is Krishna's. He is giving me to serve him. Just like we use Ganges water to worship the deity, because the Ganges itself is pure. So it's being given back to the Ganges, and it's given back to Krishna. So similarly, we have these things, but it is meant to serve Krishna. So opulent we may have, just like our own body. It's a gift from Krishna that we have this human form, and then this body we can offer to Krishna. This is his pleasure. So if we think in this way, we don't become attached to the body. The body itself, it's Krishna's energy. Bhumi Rapo Nolavayo is, Krishna says, this is his energy. All the things, material and spiritual, is coming from Krishna. So if we can think in a spiritual understanding through spiritual knowledge and teachings of the Bhagavatam, then we don't become attached to any of the way of material opulences that we're being offered by Krishna. Just like Srila Prabhupada, recent days, Srila Prabhupada, when he went to America, he didn't have anything. But because he has the instruction of his spiritual master, he had the glories, the universal glory, and he has full of opulent. And you can see today, we have this beautiful ISKCON movement all over the world. It's full of opulent. But the devotees of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, never once thought that this is his property. He was thinking this is all Krishna's. This is the mentality of a pure devotee. This is the mentality of Siddha Bhakta, the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is so pure that he never took 1 paisa, 1 cent for himself. He said, if I get any money, print this, use this money to print his books, print books, to distribute books. This is the mentality of an Acharya. This is the mentality of the saintly kings like Yudhishthira Maharaj and Parikshit Maharaj and the Pandavas, because we're in that line of Sri Krishna also. We are in the family of Krishna. We are in Krishna's family. We're in Srila Prabhupada's family. So our family is a very big family. Sometimes, on the Vyasa Puja day, we glorify Srila Prabhupada. We glorify his spiritual master. Don't think we're in a small time place. We're in a big family. We're in the family of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's family means we're in Krishna's family. You see, sometimes Indian family, they get married and have huge family, like maybe 1,000 people, up to 1,000 people. But Krishna's family is huge. It's unlimited. It's universal. So we can imagine our good fortune to be in the family of this Sri Krishna. We are in the family of Prabhupada. And we are in the family of the Pandavas, actually. We're in that line also. So we should be very proud of ourselves in that way. So whatever material things we may get is nothing. We have Krishna with us. Sometimes I live here in Melbourne, and it's a very opulent country. We have everything, but we still see people on the side of the road, homeless people, because they misuse their money. And government, they can get money from, they're young people. Some of them are like under 50, and then they're homeless. How can they be homeless? Because as soon as they get money, they use on drugs and stuff. They misuse their money. So similarly, we have everything. So we have to remember this is Krishna's. So we are also very opulent. But opulent of a devotee is not material opulent. It's beyond that. When you chant Hare Krishna, when you serve Krishna, this is the real opulent. So when you chant Hare Krishna, the happiness you get from chanting Hare Krishna is beyond anything material. One can be sitting on material opulence. He can be sitting on gold and money. But these things are short-term. These things are material. But when he's chanting Hare Krishna, that the bliss of the holy name, the chanting Hare Krishna that one get by serving Krishna is so much glorious. It's the highest pleasure in the spiritual life. So these saintly kings knew that. So even though material world is a very bitter place, it's crushing energy, material energy, it's full of suffering. But the devotees are not, they're beyond. Because we know this is a material situation. We stay above it. This is the material world, the place of birth, death, and old age and disease. Abrahma Bhavana Loka, Krishna says, the material world down from the highest planet in Brahma Loka down to the Patala Loka, it's all full of misery. That's why the devotees of Krishna, we take full shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, like it's mentioned here. We take the shelter. Tightly we hold onto the lotus feet of Krishna. Tightly we hold onto the lotus feet of our spiritual master, of Srila Prabhupada, our founder guru, of our own spiritual master. So we are not afraid because we have Krishna with us. Even though we're living in a very dangerous place, we're not afraid because we have Krishna. We have the holy name. What is there to worry about? Money, material things, these things come and go. The people who has all the material things, but they're suffering. They're too attached. That is the problem. They're too attached to material things, material opulence. Material opulence cannot guarantee us that happiness a devotee has. See, all of us devotees, especially in the devotee's life, we're not greatly rich all over the world. Only few, but we are rich spiritually. We are rich in knowledge. Atmagyan, we have spiritual knowledge. We have teachings of Bhagavatam. We have the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. We have teachings of Krishna. These things, when you take shelter of these things, then we are really opulent. So when you define happiness, what kind of happiness? Material happiness is temporary and short-term. Devotees, we are always happy because, and when you go in Harinam, we're in the street distributing books, and people see to us as we're the happy people, happy devotees. It's not 1 hour happy hour, or that kind of happiness is very short term. Devotee is always happy, and just like I said, here I am, 2:00 in the morning. Right now it's just after 2:30, 2:40 right now, and I'm not worried. Of course, it took me a few minutes to get up and wake up. But once I start talking about Krishna consciousness and this philosophy of Bhakti Yoga, I feel fantastic. And I'm sure all of you the same thing. Everyone's in a different time. But this is all material. So once you come on that spiritual platform, we're no longer in a material platform, even here in the material world. So before you can go back to Godhead, we have to situate ourselves in that spiritual platform right here. Because there's no different activity we do in the spiritual world. It's the same thing we do in the spiritual world that we do here. Chanting Hare Krishna, Harinam, and engage in devotional service. This is what we do in the spiritual world. And that's why even here we feel fantastic. We feel happy because we are absorbed in that Krishna consciousness. So we're not touched by this material world anymore. So if we are not on that spiritual platform right here, we're in here in the material world, how are we going to go back to Godhead? We have to situate ourselves in the spiritual platform right now. I was watching a movie the other day on Tukaram. Tukaram is a great saint. And it's only happened around Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, 500 years ago. Tukaram, he is an ordinary human being, but he was so attached to Vital. There's a place in India, Maharashtra. Vital is another form of Krishna. And that Krishna, he's holding his hand around the waist. He's standing. So that's the deity. If you ever go to India, you can visit Vital deity. And they say he's holding his hand on the waist. And they say, why is he doing that? And because he's waiting for his devotee, hand on his waist. So Vital, he was initiated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mind, in the dream. He actually never met. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first disciple was Tukaram, and he was initiated by Lord Chaitanya in a dream. Can you imagine that? In a dream. And Tukaram, he was challenged by other spiritualists, so-called, but he was so attached to Lord Vital. He calls it Panduram Vital. He was always singing, and he knew nothing except Vital, except Lord Krishna and Vital. So at the end of his life, he didn't live too long. He was only here for under 40 years, just about 40 years, 42 or something. And a spiritual airplane came down here. We know the story of Dhruva Maharaj. He walked onto the airplane. So this happened only 600 years ago. In this world, airplane came down from the spiritual world. Pushpa Biman, flower airplane. And Tukaram, he walked onto it. He was on a mountain top. And so all the people, they saw this airplane coming down, and he walked onto the airplane. And he asked his wife, you can also join me. And she said, no, I'm not ready to go because I have children. You have to take care of them. I have to be here. I'm attached to them. So she didn't go, and his family didn't go. They were equally appointed to go onto the spiritual airplane. And everybody witnessed it. The airplane came down from the spiritual world, Vishnu Dutas, and Tukaram walked onto it. So this happened recently. That place is there in India. So the reason why I'm saying this, we need to take shelter of Krishna. And Krishna is there waiting for us. Krishna's, why do we think we have these temples? Krishna's there. Srila Prabhupada installed his deity. Krishna's there. He invited the Lord. Srila Prabhupada lecture, he used to tell, now Sri Krishna has now appeared. Lord Jagannath has now appeared in your country. He installed them, and the Lord has come there. So he is waiting for us. So we need to very strictly become attached to Krishna, serve Krishna very sincerely from the bottom of our heart. That attachment is not there, then we become attached to material things. So anarthas, material attachment to our body, attached to our family, attached to the world, and it goes on and on. That material attachment is what creates that material bondage, which blocks us from taking full shelter of Krishna. So we have to clear away that attachment to be able to relish the nectar of the holy name, to be able to relish the serving Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna. It's all there. It's full of bliss, but we don't get it because we're attached to a material way of life, the material facilities that comes along the way when we perform service. Krishna also gives that. But we have to remember, this is all Krishna's. That's why it's so glorious to serve Krishna, because we can vision that. We can see, oh, Krishna's, just like rain. When the rain comes down, it doesn't make any distinction. It rains on the rock, and it rains at the same time on the water. What is the need for rain? So Krishna blesses everyone equally, especially those who are serving him. Krishna blesses us. His mercy is ultimate mercy. And material things, Material attachments, like it says here, is bitter. His material energy is crushing. Is full of a dangerous place in the material world. So we don't become attached to any of that. We remain above it. We remain in the shelter of Krishna. So much so that we grip onto the Lotus feet of Krishna. Don't let go of it. Don't let go of the holy name. Take fully shelter of the holy name. And it's so glorious, and it's so beautiful, and it's so blissful. So if we don't get that spiritual bliss, then we look elsewhere. And then we look elsewhere for material pleasure. This is why sometimes, even as devotees, so many years, we're not getting that taste for the holy name because we're holding on to material way of life. At the same time, we want Krishna. It's like sometimes we see people in India, they worship demigod. And then if you go to sometime Indian home, they have Krishna and demigods all put together in the altar. But Krishna is the source of everything. He gives permission to the demigod. So we don't need to worship the demigod and worship Krishna at the same time. We only worship Krishna because Krishna is the source of everything. He is giving everything. So you have to have faith. We have to increase our faith, our love, intensify our love for Krishna, intensify our faith in Krishna. We are being tested always. Sometimes even in our society, we're being tested by how much we serve Krishna, how much we love Krishna. It's just like Maya. Sometimes we'll wiggle some things in front of our face. Then we fall for it. But we realize this is not the way I want. I want Krishna. But we realize that because we are devotees, we will know I'm in the wrong place. I'm in the wrong, this is what, I don't want this. I didn't come here to this world for this. I want to go back to Godhead. And we're being tested. We need to become sincere. So Krishna sometimes creates a situation. When he creates a situation, we're in trouble purposely because he loves us. He makes us to turn to him because he is the Lord and our master. He loves us so much. He creates a situation where we have to take shelter of him. And then we realize this is his mercy, actually. So we don't fall for this Maya business. We the material world. We remain above it. Stay aloof from it. But this is the bonus, bonum of the goal of this of a devotee is to return back home, back to Godhead. Associate the Lord directly in the spiritual world. We can associate the Lord directly right here. Just like when you go to the temple. Krishna is there in the temple. Krishna is sitting in our heart. He is our eternal friend. He is our eternal companion. Sridham Sarvabhutanam. Krishna says, I am the friend of all living entities. Jejathamam prapadante. Those who serve me, Jejathamam prapadante, surrender to me. Especially, I'm friend to them. Especially like Arjuna. He was Krishna's friend and a devotee. And similarly, all of us, like I said, we're in Krishna's family. We're in Prabhupada's family. We're in a huge, eternal, spiritual family of Krishna. We don't need to worry about anything. We have everything we need. All the things Prabhupada gave us to serve Krishna. Even if there's nothing, we have Achaman cup, we have bead bag, we have conch to blow on, we have some water to Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Krishna says, whatever you offer to me, fruit or water or leaf, I accept it. You offer in devotion, if it's offered in devotion. He didn't say, you have to give me pizza. You have to give me food on a golden plate. Whatever you have, fruit and water, a leaf. Because he loves us. He's giving us an opportunity to serve him in whatever condition we are, even in the forest. So if we can remain above and try to see that our real business is to go back to Godhead, our real business is associated with the Lord, our real business is to be observed in the holy name in devotional service. So we don't become attached to the throne we have, to the facilities we have. We don't become attached. We are like Yudhishthira Maharaj. Prabhupada used to say, even a dog can chant Hare Krishna. So we have to become a good disciple of our spiritual master. Become loyal to Prabhupada, become loyal to your spiritual master, become loyal to, because we are here very short, temporary time, short time we're in this world. We're not going to be here forever. You come back here after 50 years, 100 years, the place may be already not there, change everything. We're not going to be here. So everything tells us we better get out of here. Let's go back to Godhead. So this is Krishna's mercy, Prabhupada's mercy. We can have this knowledge, and you can apply this knowledge and become Krishna conscious while we're here. Because when you go back to Godhead, everybody's Krishna conscious there. You don't have to go Harinam, everyone is devotee. So we are so lucky. We can go Harinam, we can go on book distribution. We have some opposition here. But this is the good thing. It makes us more Krishna conscious. And so we can share with others, those non-devotees, we can share Krishna consciousness. So this is we're in a very good situation here, good position here. We can be Krishna, we can be tools in the hand of our previous acharyas. We can be the tools in the hand of our spiritual master, of Krishna. So just like these kings, they're tools in the hand of their Lord Krishna. They're doing their duty, managing the world. They're saintly kings. They wanted to make others Krishna conscious, turn the world into a spiritual world. They themselves gave it all up and went to the forest. And when the time came, they're not clinging on to their position, like Prabhupada mentioned, like the politicians. They gave it up. Tuchapat, just like the Goswamis of Vrindavan. The 6 Goswamis, Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they are very great devotees, associated of Krishna. They are eternal personal associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But they are born in a very rich family. It's mentioned that Raghunath Das Goswami, he was his wife was so beautiful, like the goddesses of the heavenly planet, like the Apsaras. They had to tie him down because he wanted to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so badly. They had to tie him down so he can become attached to, at least to his wife, newly married wife. But he didn't care. He just wanted to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they had boat full of gold coins. Like we sometimes walking, by chance, we might kick into a gold coin. But they had boat full of gold coins. They gave it up, all that, like spitting on the ground, to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because they wanted to associate the Lord. There's so much pleasure in the Lord, in serving, being with the Lord, being with Krishna, chanting Hare Krishna. Kali Kale Nam Rupa Krishna Avatar. In Kali Yuga, Krishna is there in his name. So when he's chanting Hare Krishna, you're actually associating the Lord. You're associating Krishna directly. So we're not missing out on anything. So we have to become Krishna conscious while we're here. Then we can walk onto that airplane will sent to us by Krishna. We don't even have to change body. We walk into the spiritual plane, like Tukaram, in the same body. This is an example. Tukaram is an example. Dhruva Maharaj is an example. That Krishna, he can arrange everything for us. But we have to give up that sense enjoyment in the material world, which is so temporary and so little compared to serving Krishna. Hare Krishna. So I'll leave from some question and answer.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class. Krishna Katha is full of inspiration, full of encouragement, and a reminder to all of us also as to what we belong to. And the need to make it this life and not any other life, because it is possible to make it this life, to go back home, back to Godhead. So dear devotees, if anyone has a question, as a comment, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to ask your question. Shri Prabhu, it's very interesting you referenced to Tukaram. because Tukram, I understand by caste system, he was considered a Sudra.
Mm.
Yeah, he was considered a Sudra. Yet Krishna doesn't look at these social gradations. You are this, you are that. So, but just by his devotion and service to Krishna, I didn't know that part that he went back home in his physical body. Very interesting.
Oh yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Sri Vidya, please, you may unmute. You are muted.
Oh, really?
No, I mean
Yeah.
Sri Vidya. Okay, good. You're okay now.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji, Prabhu, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you mentioned that we need to have material detachment to surrender to Krishna. But currently we are in the material bondage, right? So when we are in the conditioned material life as well, we can be surrendered to Krishna.
Yes.
Right?
Sorry about that. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, that's what. So my question was, being in the conditioned material life as well, will we be able to fully surrender to Krishna? Is that possible? Or at least we think, like we often feel like, yeah, I'm taking shelter of Krishna. Whether that's a true surrenderance, because we are still in the material bondage. So just a few comments on that, if you can.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Prabhu, please unmute yourself.
I was unmuted. You can hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, it's a very nice question, actually. The thing is, like I was being explained in this talk, if we can understand that even material things like our body is actually Krishna's energy. So if we can go on the spiritual platform, we understand everything is an emanation from Krishna. So we can turn the material things like the body and any other material objects into spiritual by engaging in Krishna's service. It becomes spiritual. And Prabhupada used to always give an example of a knife. If you use the knife to cut the vegetables, and then you're using the knife. So similarly, you can use a knife to do hurt others or criminal activities. So similarly, this body, you can use this body to serve Krishna, or you can get drunk and misuse this body, take drugs, like it's mentioned here. So you can make this spiritual, material situation in your home, your body, your family, Krishna conscious, and they become spiritual. That's why Tukaram, even in the material body. What is spiritual? What is material? We don't know. But we know that it's all coming from Krishna. And Krishna can turn into material things spiritual. It's up to him. We didn't create anything. Even this body is not ours. Not even one hair. We didn't create any factory, one piece of hair. It's all Krishna's. So if Krishna wants, he can turn this body into spiritual. It's up to him, up to the creator. But we have to understand that is all Krishna's. That is the point. So we become attached to this body. So that attachment, we have to understand, is material. But if we have real faith in Krishna, we can pray to Krishna so much so that we don't have any, and we have evolved this material attachment. So even in this body, you can make this body so Krishna conscious. Krishna can make this body spiritual, like Narad Muni. Even you see sometimes devotees in our temple, This one person, sometimes they do arati, puja, cook for the Lord, they give the class, same person, because they don't have enough people at the temple. How they can do it so early in the morning? When people are just getting up, we already done our program. By 9 o'clock in the morning, by 9 o'clock, we take breakfast. We already woke up for Mangal Arati at 4 o'clock. Then we did Arati. Then we had Bhagavatam class, chanted our japa. By the time 9 o'clock, people go to work. We are already up for 5 hours. And then some devotees, they go to work. How they can do it? Because Krishna gives them the energy. This is all spiritual. We can't imagine ourselves. And then they go to work all day. It's not easy for any ordinary people to get up so early and chant japa 5-6 hours before they go to work. So that is spiritual energy. It is transcendental, it's spiritual. So even material body, we can accomplish so much because Krishna empowers devotee. Krishna empowers someone to do amazing activities because it's for Krishna. Krishna can empower us with unlimited energy. So he can turn his body into spiritual, just like that knife. If you use it properly, you can get more energy. So less we use in material activities, we can preserve the energy to serve Krishna. Material is diminishing, spiritual is not diminishing, it's unlimited. How can someone like myself, I've been a devotee now, 1973, almost 50 years. And every day I'm chanting japa. I should be bored by now. But I love it because it has spiritual energy. Krishna is there in the name. Every time I do it, it's ever energy, ever fresh energy. And I feel good. So Krishna consciousness, even in the material body, you just feel wonderful. The more you use in his service, Krishna can he can enhance it, empower it, and he can give you new energy because spiritual energy is unlimited. So he can, even sometimes devotees, like I'm in my body, and I'm now just 50 plus. If someone who is using this body for sense enjoyment, taking drug, not sleeping well, not doing exercise, not chanting japa, and just abusing the body, too much enjoyment, and misusing it, they would look like, when you're 50, you look like 70 or 80, because they're misusing the body. So it's not Krishna's fault. He's actually giving us the energy, but we are destroying it. Look at the earth, pollution, too many vehicles, so much pollution, and the water we can drink, everything. We're destroying the earth, but it's all there. Natural beauty is there in the earth. But we want to attach to sense enjoyment, quick enjoyment. But we can see, look away from material world, you can see the spiritual enjoyment is so much more, unlimited pleasures there. So even in the material body, we can be empowered by Krishna, no doubt about that. The Pandavas, we know from Mahabharata, millions and millions of people. The Pandavas, they were warrior. They came out victorious because they were with Krishna. They were not hurt, not even scratch on their body, because they were with Krishna. Krishna protected them. So if we can be Krishna conscious, Krishna will give us spiritual energy. We will not feel fatigue from this material conditioning. We have to rise above our consciousness. Then we will feel that way. Otherwise, we'll be bogged down in the material way of life. But Krishna will give us whatever we need to serve him. Okay, Maharaji?
Thank you, Prabhu. That's a very, very nice answer. Yeah, very satisfying. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for the question, and Shri Prabhu, thank you for the answer.
Yeah.
I think I saw somebody's hand up. We have this saying that looks is deceiving. So, dear devotees, if you do not know our revered speaker, he did mention that he's been chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra for over 50 years, since 73. And you look at him, and he also said he is in his 50s. So one may wonder, how then is he a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, direct disciple of Srila Prabhupada? Now, the beautiful news is that he is on the record the youngest disciple ever that Srila Prabhupada had, because Srila Prabhupada gave him initiation when he was 9 years old. It's very amazing. And since that tender age till now, he's still holding on the fort. And Prabhuji, it's just a very wonderful inspiration to all of us. And we are so grateful that from time to time, we can call on you and have your association. So thank you for being here again. But I have a question. I have a question that I kind of have a little bit of answer to the question, but I don't think the answer I have to it is full. So I will ask you anyway, and that is, you were talking about Maharaj Parikshit and his parents or forefathers. They are all belonging to the family of Krishna. They are not ordinary people. And we see so many histories in the scriptures, and these personalities are all not ordinary. Now, the doubt becomes, these people were able to do what they did because they are not ordinary people. But if someone is ordinary, like me, is it possible? And I said I have a small answer to that, in the sense that I heard that a disciple or some disciples asked Srila Prabhupada a question like, one may have had different piety in previous lives, and then in this life he is promoted to possibly become a devotee. But these devotees, disciples of Srila Prabhupada, your God brothers, they were saying, Srila Prabhupada, when I look at myself, I do not have any credit. And Srila Prabhupada said, yeah, you're right, I gave it to you. So that tells me that, yes, to some extent, if even I am nobody and the Guru becomes merciful upon me, I can also do something. But my question is, for an ordinary person who is not an associate of the Lord, can we also follow and practice these same things and attain Krishna? That's my question, Prabhuji.
Of course, if that was not the case, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wouldn't come down here, because everybody here is ordinary. And Srila Prabhupada wouldn't go to America. He would say, they are too ordinary. It's not, they can't do it. It's not for them. It's only for the highest people. But actually, it is only meant for ordinary people like us. It is particularly for us. Because those who are, who do you consider yourself? Everyone in this Kali Yuga, in the mature world, and the present day, is ordinary. So for us, particularly, it is for us to benefit in the spiritual life. And just like we go to our temple in Mayapur, Vrindavan, some big temple like that, with thousands of devotees. And this is also one of the reasons we go to Vrindavan, Mayapur, because they have so many devotees. So our vision becomes broadened, and we see, wow, such a big temple, so many devotees. So it's always good to get out a little bit, go to a big temple and see how big it is. Then we can see we're in a big family, we're in the right place. But sometimes in a small temple, we tend to think, oh, it's just too much for us. There's no one around. So that's why we go to a big temple. So, Krishna Radha Madhav and Mayapur on an altar, on the big altar. And then there's thousands of devotees, maybe 5,000, at a time. But Krishna knows who is sincere, who is not. So it's not that you're right in the front and Krishna only sees them. He may be not seeing them. He may be seeing someone way at the back. Or that Prabhu there is looking at me. So Krishna he's in the heart of all living entities. So he's watching all over us, how we are serving, and he's especially very merciful, and he especially takes care of those younger devotees and those who are simple people. He extends his mercy. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. So Srila Prabhupada, he can empower. In the beginning days, and there was only a handful of devotees in ISKCON. And they went all over the world. They had no idea how to open a temple, how to do anything. Prabhupada said, don't worry, I will help you. Krishna will empower you. Krishna will bless you. And that we see today the result of such a wonderful society. ISKCON, so big. They are pioneering. There's maybe about 20 devotees that Prabhupada sent them in Europe and in India and a few places. And they open all the temples. And they said, I have no idea how to open a temple. Not that they have money, but Krishna provided. So we just have to be tools, like I was saying. We just have to be instrument. Anyone. And see, when Hanuman was building the bridge to go to Sri Lanka, to walk on the water, and they're building a bridge across the Indian Ocean and across the India to Sri Lanka. And there was a small squirrel, a small animal, was also kicking sand to build a bridge. And Hanuman said, get out of my way. What are you going to do? It's going to take 1,000 years to build a bridge the way you're kicking sand. Look at me, I'm carrying these big stones and it's going to be very quick. So when Lord Ram saw that, he said, no, you don't do like that. He's equally blessed by me because he's using his energy to serve Krishna. You have the power to do it. You're full of energy. You're a big person, Hanuman. But this squirrel, he's using his capacity to serve Krishna just as much as you are serving. So Krishna, Lord Ram was blessing that squirrel, that little animal. So Lord Krishna always watching the smaller people first, then the big people. He's watching everyone, but he blesses the younger devotees, the conditioned souls who are needed the most. Prabhupada, why did he go to America? Because that place needed the most. They were most fallen. And this next week, we're going to be celebrating Lord Nityananda's appearance day, Nityananda Trayodashi. Lord Nityananda is very merciful. He blessed the people of Navadip. And they were there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, they blessed Jagai Madhai. They were the lowest among the people in Navadip. So the mercy specially meant for those who really needed the most is unto them. Of course, for everyone. So it's very clear. If we see Srila Prabhupada, he has many god brothers, and Krishna had many friends, but Arjuna was the chosen one. Srila Prabhupada was the chosen one. So sometime in that case, he blesses special personalities, like Narad Muni, universal traveler. Then you have Bhisma Dev, the Pandavas. These people are very unique in the whole universe. But doesn't mean others are neglected. The others in the whole spiritual world, this Krishna, Radharani is the topmost. But there's all these gopis that Krishna attends to. They're not neglected. They're equally blessed by Krishna. They get to dance with Krishna, all the gopis. There are Astasakis, and then there's 108 gopis. And then there's millions of living entities. Krishna has his eternal associate. And Krishna was taking prasadam with the cowherd boys. And some cowherd boys thinking, oh, Krishna is looking at me. But actually, Krishna was looking at everyone, same time. They all felt special because they saw Krishna looking at them, was actually looking at everybody all at the same time. So Krishna is equally blessing everyone. We should never feel that I'm lowly. We are, but we have to think ourselves humbly. But Krishna equally blesses all the devotees and all the people. You see the elephant, they don't go to Mangalarati. They don't have a bead bag hanging on their neck. They don't have any of that. But they're getting their food. People who are not serving Krishna. So Krishna is giving them the necessities of life. So Jejathamam, Krishna says, accordingly, I will reward them as they serve me. Not that if you don't serve him, he's not going to take care of you. So he says, those who serve me, I especially love them. I especially care for them. But he equally cares for everyone. Okay.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I truly appreciate the response, the answer. Thank you so much. Anyone else with any question, please? Devotees? So Prabhuji, I guess it's still late at your place. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning?
Right now, it's 3:15.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm scheduled to give SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM class at the temple today also.
Wow.
This morning.
Thank
and
you.
today is Australia Day. It's a public holiday.
Oh, okay.
Here. Australia Day. So it's going to be a lot of people in the temple. And that's at 7:30. So I have plenty of time.
Wow. So there'll be lots of parade today.
Yeah, they're going to be a parade at in the city.
I think
downtown.
so. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Abhinay Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. So glories to Srila Prabhupada. Oh, glories to the devotees.
I remember seeing you last time. You were driving and you were talking. I remember you last time.
Yes.
Yes. Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
You always give a very, very wonderful, insightful lectures, and you give a very powerful and practical answers to questions that comes. We eternally appreciated your desire to help us to uplift.
Thank you.
Those on the bottom. We always try to lift us up. Thank you very much. This question is it's a question that was asked by one of my friends. And the question concerning the chieftaincy. You're talking of the Rajasis. I don't know the previous ages, how the kings rule the citizens and how they take care of their stools. Here in Africa, most cities, towns, and villages are ruled by kings and chiefs. And here they have so many rituals that they perform to their gods, because it is said that in every stool there's a particular god or a deity or a spirit that is protecting the stool. And so whoever inherits the stool has to continue the lineage, have to continue performing the rituals for that particular stool. And it's everywhere, especially here in Africa, West Africa. And now we're talking of cultivating everyone become Krishna conscious. And in Krishna consciousness, there are rules and regulations that we follow, things that we are supposed to do in order for us to please Krishna. And one of those is to be free from violence. That we have to practice ahimsa. And so we don't kill. And so most of the rituals that these kings do is that they kill animals, and then they pour libation. They use alcohol and stuff to please their gods. And devotees don't do that, because we are not supposed to kill. So if a devotee, someone becomes a devotee and he's on this platform of chieftaincy, how does he how can that king do that and at the same time become Krishna conscious?
Mm.
And we all know that they are also very important. The chiefs and the people protecting the citizens, they're very, very important, because without them, what would the cities and the towns and these villages be? You know. So how did they maintain that service and at the same time become Krishna conscious?
If we can see how these kings ruled the world previously, the great kings like Yudhishthir Maharaj 5,000 years ago, and after that there was a lot of Vaishnava kings who were ruling not very long ago, actually. Because we as devotees, we are meant to follow. We are followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are followers of the previous acharyas. So it's not easy because we are living in this age. It's a very different time. So it's not easy. At the same time, we can also show by our own example. As Prabhupada made this ISKCON organization, he wanted to create Varnashram. There's a system that Krishna created in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna explains there are 4 ashrams, Varnashram system. So there is a lot of cultural history, the background of a particular country or a society. Now, if we can see the spiritual way of life, it's a higher principle.
How are you?
Yeah. So the higher principle of practices, if we can practice the higher principles, that can the other principles will overtake. But we have to, same time, understand and imply or apply the spiritual practices. Those things becomes inferior. It's not need to give up. A certain things, like you said, animal killing, they have to give up. But by like chanting Hare Krishna, by practicing spiritual practices, the higher principles of life, those things are automatically will be flourish. But first of all, we need to understand that the real goal of any society to implement God consciousness and Krishna consciousness, and particularly what we are propagating, and from the Bhagavatam, from the Bhagavad Gita. So there are cultural aspect. We're not saying to give up the cultural things, if especially they are connected to religious background. But we need to, first of all, understand the Supreme Lord of all the Lord is Krishna. And there's Krishna consciousness must be implemented in the human form of life. So that's why even in ISKCON, we see people coming from all different background. And they give up that because they understand that this is a better way of life. This is what we are meant to do. So we're not saying give up, but simply have to practice Krishna consciousness, and gradually they will know what we are doing is a higher way of life. Is given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by God, given by God Himself. But certain things they might give up, like animal killing, they have to give up. So they worship in the mode of ignorance. Krishna explains also in Bhagavad Gita, there's mode of ignorance, there are different types of worship, ghost and spirit. So if we can chant Hare Krishna, if we can implement devotional service, those things are automatically in it. It's not that we have to do separately. In India also, they have different cultural backgrounds. People, they're Sikhs, they wear the turbans and different types of Sikhs. But they give up that. They shave up. They have a Sikha. They don't have to wear the turbans. They're very happy with it because they understand this is what pleases them most. This is what pleases Krishna. So it's not just a cultural thing. The real cultural thing is to perform devotional service. But also we have to explain it nicely and give them the alternative way of life. So we are giving the highest alternative way of life. So people will give up this lower type of worship and they will accept the worship as devotional service to God, to Krishna. Like in Australia also, there are people who worship mountains and rivers in the countryside. But that is not condemned. You can worship that, but that's the lower principle of worship. But we are propagating, we are explaining devotional through the highest principle of worship. It is the highest cultural aspect of our human life. So if you can understand, they can give up that and accept Krishna consciousness. Is not that they're giving up anything. We are accepting more. In fact, we're including all the things that are included in spiritual life in serving Krishna. So it's not one has to give up, but it's a matter of understanding, a matter of us explaining it. It's a matter of us giving them the alternative way of worship and culture.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. So
Yeah.
we're not throwing away anything. We're just
Not trying anything.
a higher taste.
Exactly.
Kumar Prabhu's vegetarian cookbook, it says higher taste.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're trying to give. Wonderful. And Adinidanam Prabhu, please, you may unmute. Krishna? And Adinidanam, are you there?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm here. Just
Okay,
that.
okay, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. My network is crazy. Okay. Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for the wonderful lecture. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So, Sriman Sade, Prabhu, please, if you can put back the purport on the screen, where Prabhupada said, the kings, since they are the lineage of Yudhishthira and Ku, they know the pangs of this material miseries. I would like to read something from there and I ask my question from there.
Sure.
You mean here Maharaj Parikshit was the worthy grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthira? Gave up the imperial throne to his grandson.
In fact, I can't even see the screen. It's just rolling because of the network. But where in the purpose, the Prabhupada said they understand the material pangs. I mean the miseries of this material world.
Okay.
Yeah. That portion, if you can read it out for me, because I can't see the screen. The network is disturbing.
Right. Let me see. Yeah.
It's towards the beginning of the purport.
Okay.
The human life is meant for achieving this end from there.
Oh, the Lord has assured us in the Bhagavad Gita that going back to Godhead, his eternal abode is the highest achievement. Prahlad Maharaj, while praying to the Lord in the Srimad, said, "Oh, my Lord, I'm very much afraid of the materialistic way of life, and I am not least afraid of your present ghastly ferocious feature as the Srimad."
Yeah.
This materialistic way of life is something like a grinding stone, and we are being crushed by it. Is that what you were referencing?
No, not exactly. But anyway, let me go ahead and ask my question. Maybe you can get. Is it my understanding, and I stand to be corrected as well, that I learned that those who are in the spiritual world, for that matter, those who are in the path of bhakti, or the pure devotees for that matter, they don't know how these material miseries are. For that matter, the pangs of this material world, they don't feel it. So if in the purpose, Prabhupada is saying they understand the material miseries, to my understanding, for someone who has not felt a thing of that nature will not be able to tell you So is it that they feel it, but they can't express it, or how is the whole thing about? That's why, like, the screen is working. I could like read the whole thing out and ask my question vividly. But I don't know if Prabhu understand my question.
I think he does. Shri
I'll
Prabhu,
try.
do you understand? Otherwise, I can repeat what he is saying. He is saying...
Maybe you can explain to me a little bit further.
Yeah, what he's saying is that in the purport, he heard, we can't locate it, but in short, the Maharaj Parikshit and his forefathers, Maharaj Yudhishthira, the Pandavas, they're all saying that they know how dangerous this material world is. You know, so his question is, the pure devotees, they are not affected by what goes on in this material world. So how then do such personalities make such a statement that this material plane is a place of miseries? Because they do not feel it. That is his question.
Right. So pure devotees of Krishna, they are in constant contact with the Lord, with the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that's why they are pure devotees. It's not that they need to be in the material world to experience it, to explain to us. They're not in that level. We need to do that. So we need to go through the process of family life, happiness, distress. Then we realize this is a pretty terrible place. But those who are pure devotees, they're aware of everything. They're conscious of everything. They're in contact with Krishna. Krishna gives them, like I was saying, they empower them. They don't need to experience it. Ordinary people, they have to experience it. Like a thief. A thief, the Prabhupada explains this. A thief, he will steal, and then he gets caught and he goes to the prison. He already knows that this is not a good thing to do. I shouldn't steal. Or someone who's a first-class person, he hears it. He said, oh, stealing is not good. I will not steal. That's first class. And he avoids it. Second class, he has to experience it. So he knows this is, he gets caught and then he doesn't do it. Third class, he gets caught and goes to prison, comes back, does it again. So that is like our situation, where we're in the material world, because we don't learn for the first time. We have to experience to find out. And then we become realize this is a terrible place. This is a miserable place. But those who are pure devotees, they are not on that level like us. Guru Sadhu Shastra, they speak according to the scriptures. They speak from, that's why the Guru disciples, the spiritual master speaks, the disciple says what the spiritual master says. There isn't anything different. So the disciples, a pure devotee, becomes a good disciple, becomes a spiritual master, is qualified to become a guru because he speaks exactly what Guru says. They're not saying anything different. Because, and not only that, a pure devotee of Krishna, their contact, Mano Vishta Vijayate, they're in same mind, with constant contact with Krishna, in the mind of Krishna. So they're in that different level. Just like when Lord Vishnu was taking his appearance in the material world, he told Brahma, the Brahma and the demigods, they went to the shore of the ocean, and they were complaining that the material world is they're being attacked by Hiranyakashipu, and there's so much trouble here. Please come down and please appear. So he's Tena Brahma Hidaya Yavanti Kavaiha. In the first canto, it's mentioned that Brahma, he sent the Lord Vishnu, he sent the message to the heart of Brahma, heart to heart. It's not like you on the mobile phone and hello, like he hears the message, like we do today. There was heart to heart. So the process was very advanced that time. It's not that they had to experience to be able to tell. They can understand just by looking. Even they have Ayurvedic doctors today. They don't need to check your blood pressure. They can look in your eyes. They know what problem you have. That's the advanced platform of knowledge, of Ayurveda. So those days, the great person, the sadhus, saintly people, they just know this Kali Yuga is coming. They knew everything in ahead, in advance. So it's not that they didn't even want to mention the word Kali. The sages at 5,000 years ago, they said Kali is going to be so bad. They said Sat Tat Treta Dapar. That's it. They didn't want to say the word Kali because it was so bad, because they already knew. So spiritual society, advanced age, those days, other yugas, they're aware of everything. Past, present, future. The sadhus, they know all of that. Bhavishya. They even have a Purana. It's called Bhavishya Purana, which tells the future. So how would they know what the future is? And they write even book of it, Bhavishya Purana. So we tend to see things in our own way, but it's much more than that. They're advanced personalities in those days, the spiritual personalities. They can tell the future. Even India, go to India, people say, you are a sadhu, can you show me your hand? Can you show me the future? Because they expect for a great person to know the future. And they do know. That's why they turn to them for the knowledge of the future. So what to speak of the Vyasadeva, what to speak of the Yudhishthira Maharaj? They knew Kali Yuga is coming. And they can write down the effects of Kali Yuga and the Bhagavatam way before before Kali Yuga came. So it's not that they have to experience it. That is our level, like the thief. They realize after doing it, oh, it's not good, I better not do it. But those who are first class, they can hear and they understand this is not good, I better not do it. Yeah. So Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing is the process. It's once where you hear it, this is the way to do it. So it's not like somebody actually have to do it to find out. A great person, they know everything. So they write down. Srila Prabhupada wrote the Bhagavad Gita as it is. So we have to have the faith. We don't doubt. He has the faith that Prabhupada didn't change anything, what Krishna said. He gave it as it is. So if you hear it and listen to it, and it will make sense. It will, Krishna from within, he says, I will guide such person when he sees them, they're very sincere. Okay?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the answer.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. But I have a second question, if you can permit.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, Prabhu, thank you very much for the answer. So my second question is, I would like to know if administration is pure bhakti or is tinted with the gunas.
You mean administration in ISKCON or in general?
Well, okay, since we are dealing with spiritual activity, let me specify it to ISKCON.
Okay.
So administration in ISKCON, can we say is pure bhakti or is tainted with any of the gunas? And moreover, if it is pure, how then will such kings at the latter end of their life will give up their position in pursuance of bhakti? I don't know if my question is clear.
Okay, what is trying to ask is administrative position in ISKCON a devotional service? Is it bhakti? And he is conjecturing that if it is bhakti, then why would the kings, the Raja Rishis, when they know that it is about time for them to leave this planet, like in the case of Maharaj Parikshit, he was ruling nicely. And when he knew that he only had 7 days to live, he abandoned the kingship and then started fasting and then listening to Bhagavatam, of which we have it. So if what he was doing was already bhakti, why would he abandon that to do something else?
I understand.
Yes.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes, in our society, ISKCON particularly, whatever we are following, these are the processes that Srila Prabhupada gave us. So if we stay connected to what Prabhupada gave us, there's the 4 principles that we follow. And then, of course, these principles of Prabhupada laid down, he didn't just do it whimsically, because Prabhupada was like I said, he was in contact with Krishna. He said, I wrote down this book. How can an old man write so many books in such a short time? And those days, the technology wasn't not like today, wasn't so advanced. So Prabhupada said, I'm writing this book, Krishna's telling me to write. So it was easy. He says, one time he was reading his books and his disciple asked him, Prabhupada, it's interesting you're reading your own book. He wrote the book. You should know already. Why are you reading your own book? He said, I didn't write it. Krishna wrote it. That's why I'm reading it. So whatever following instruction we're following today, the society is laid down, it's Prabhupada gave us those. He made the system, how to run the society. Of course, each temple in ISKCON, they may have their detailed management, but that's detailed management. But the ultimate principle that Prabhupada gave us, our society is running on that. We follow the 4 principles, we chant 16 rounds, we go to Mangalarati, associate devotees. It's all in our books. And there are some simpler rules to run the temple, some detailed instruction. That's also in connection to following those 4 principles. So just like you asking me the question, you're also part of the process, as you are also connected. So you will get the blessing of Krishna. So whatever little principle is all coming from Krishna. And those kings, those days, they gave up, like Parikshit Maharaj. He was setting an example. He's setting an example that he was not attached to his position. It's time for him to go. He gave it up. So Prabhupada explaining in the purport that foolish politicians in this day to day, they promise, I will take care of the citizens. I will make everyone happy. Once they get the position, they forget that promises. They become attached to the power and the money that comes. But those who are pure devotees, they know they're not attached to any of that. They will follow the instruction. They follow their promises that I'm here to serve the public. I'm here to serve my spiritual master. They're not going to cheat us like the politicians today. So they give up. They're not giving up anything. They're giving us others an opportunity to manage also. See, we cling on to position. We don't want to give the others a chance because they cling on to material things, because material things tend to creates an attachment. But pure devotees, they don't attach. They don't care. They're ready to go, they go. They leave their body. After 50, you're supposed to leave Grihastha ashram. But Prabhupada didn't say you leave. You can stay till, because we are living in a higher principles. We are here to preach. Just the trees are living also for thousands of years, perhaps, some trees. But what's the point? They're just living and standing. So we human life, we have to be productive. So these kings, they left when the time came, but they managed while they were in the post for Krishna. So they were setting an example. Not that they didn't know. They're fully aware of everything. They didn't give up anything. They just gave their service to another person as an opportunity to serve in their on behalf of them. Just like if temple president goes to America from here for a meeting, he'll appoint vice president or the temple management, temple council to carry on with the temple management. So the process will continue. So in our movement, similarly, someone may have a trouble, so they have to go some reason or another. but the principle of the philosophy remains intact. Srila Prabhupada's principle that gave us, that is always there. So even if it is some turbulent in our society, but the ultimate principle is there, that's going to uphold our society. So you see, so it's a very vast movement. So in the case of these kings, it was all Krishna's family. You see, Krishna, Yaduvamsa, they left the whole world. They killed each other, from the Bhagavatam. They killed each other. They destroyed Dwarka because this is what Krishna wanted. He didn't want anyone of his family to be in Kali Yuga. He wanted to destroy everything before he left. So you also have to see what Krishna's plan is. So we cannot just jump to conclusion, but we know the intact of the philosophy, of the bhakti, that's always there. That's not taken away. But they simply give their service to others. Their time's up. They know that. So they also want to show that they're not attached to the position they have. They're attached to Krishna. They're attached to go back to Godhead. So when time comes, they give up like nothing, not a problem. We tend to cling on to it because we attach to the material position. We don't have to worry. Everything is there. So sometimes we get too attached and say, what's going to happen if I leave? Don't worry. It was already here before we came, and it will be here after we leave. Leave it up to Krishna. So we simply do our duty. Don't become attached to it. That's what Krishna tells Arjuna. Do your duty. Don't be attached to it. Give the result to me. So when we become attached to our position, that's not bhakti. Bhakti is when you give up your attachment. So when it's time to go, you go. Because you see, Krishna wants you to go. Because when you put Krishna in the center, that is the bhakti. Even as devotees, we can do something because we want to do, and we call it as a bhakti. But it's not bhakti. We know it. When we become attached to it, we know this is not the way it should be done. So we have to consult a devotee. Am I doing it right? Or Prabhu, can I do service nicely? So that's why there's association, to check each other, to instruct others' instruction. We have to serve Krishna in humility, humble approach. Then the service becomes much more blissful. But then, when you say bhakti, devotion to Krishna, it means how we apply ourselves, how we apply our service to Krishna. We have to ask other devotees, ask ourselves, am I doing it rightly? And sometimes we do things because I feel like it pleases me. That's not bhakti. Bhakti is when you consult with others. Am I doing to please Krishna? You ask your spiritual master. We're living in a society full of devotees. We're having discussion right now. You're asking me. This is the way. That's why I have morning discussion every day. Before we begin our day's work, we have the classes, we discuss to make sure we do things correctly. So that we are doing to please Krishna, to enhance our devotion to Krishna, to increase our bhakti. So we have these processes. But it's not that what we want to do and then we call it a bhakti. So we have to constantly check ourselves by being in the association of devotees. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I wouldn't say I think we all truly love and appreciate your answers to the questions. If I may say something to what you already shared on Anand Nidanand Prabhu's first question.
Yeah, sure.
The pure devotees, like you said, they are three-color journey. They know everything.
Three-color, yeah.
They do not necessarily have to experience the problems in order to tell others what the problems are. A point in case, I watched one video of Srila Prabhupada where he was being interviewed by a journalist. And in effect, the journalist was trying to challenge Srila Prabhupada. How Srila Prabhupada could say that meat eating is dangerous, it's not healthy, when he has never tasted meat ever. And Srila Prabhupada said, I don't have to taste it. my disciples are here. They were all eating meat, and they tell me how dangerous it was.
Exactly.
So, like Prabhu said,
Very good point.
If we are smart, we do not have to experience it. We see what people do and what they go through. Sometimes we have Naistika Brahmachari gurus who also give advice to married couples. They've never been married people, but they, how come they're able to give advice to married couples? It's because even if they do not know, they see what others go through, and by seeing, they can use that to help others. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the answers. Thank you. If no one has any question, I think we may have to leave. We may have to let Prabhu go because he still has so many other engagements for today. I hope you agree with me that we have to let him go. And Prabhuji, we are very thankful.
Sure.
And if possible, maybe at least once in a month, if we have your association, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I can. It's good for me to also get to know more devotees in Africa.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So, Salika Prabhu, you have something to share? Shrimavara Prabhu, you have something to share? Please.
Hare Krishna. Just want to say thank you to Prabhu for his time, for his very lively, enthusiastic preaching. There's a difference from being scholarly in Krishna consciousness and sharing realization. And of the both are good because the intelligence, Prabhupada used to say that to be scholarly, able to present Krishna consciousness requires some level of intelligence. So it is wonderful if one is using intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Right. But better than that is one shares his realization. And Prabhupada said, my Bhaktivedanta purport is my realization of Krishna. So Prabhu's lecture speaks more to his realization of Krishna consciousness, which is very most important. So we appreciate that so much. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Yeah, it's mentioned that this is two types of Bhagavatam. One is the devotee Bhagavatam, and another is the book Bhagavatam. So if the devotees speak, it's just as good as Bhagavatam, because we don't speak different from what Bhagavatam says.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Remember, you have something to share, please.
Yes, Jai, my Dandava or Prabhupada, and my obeisance to all devotees. Well, just a small contribution to the question of Anadinidana. Yeah. If the king is rendering devotional service in his role as a king, why then does he have to give that up to practice bhakti? So I just feel that I should add something to that.
Okay.
2 points. 2 points. One is the fact that the Varnashram states that one at this age of 50, 55, matured age, should retire from his Varna. So they're following that process. That is one. You don't stick to your Varna till the time of death. From the Varna, we should also gravitate or graduate to the ashram, which helps to lead us out of this world. So in the ashram, the two synonyms, or like getting out of this world, is sannyas. The sannyas is no longer part of this world. It's in this world without doing this world. And the Vanaprastha is retired from active life because as a cold householder, businessman, administrator, whatever it may be, as a householder, is dealing with material energy, family, money, etc., even though he's a devotee. So he has to retire into Vanaprastha, where he can dedicate more time for purification and for contemplating spiritual subject matter. So we see the example in the Lila, Lord Chaitanya Lila. King Prataparudra, he was a devotee. He was serving the devotees who come from pilgrimage. He used to serve them very nicely. But Lord Chaitanya was still.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, I think it's breaking, but he'll come back.
Okay.
All right. So
yeah,
do you get me now?
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Now?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm saying in Lord Chaitanya Lila, there is the example of King Maharaj Prataparudra, who was a devotee, and he was serving the devotee community very nicely. But Lord Chaitanya treated him at a distance. He treated him at a distance because of his dealing with material energy. So that is to let us know that even though one may be a devotee in his material duty on his varna, his varna is that of a king, and also is a householder as a devotee. But because of his interaction and association with material energy, Lord Chaitanya treated him at a distance. So, and then we see the example of Ramananda Rai. He was a governor. So it's also like dealing with material energy. But the moment he met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave up his activities. And then immediately Lord Chaitanya embraced him, and then he became an intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya. So the Vanaprastha ashram allows for purification, and it also allows a detachment from material activities. Even though one may be a devotee performing these activities, but they should remember the goal of life is not to die continuing with material activities. And that is what Lord Chaitanya did in the case of Ramananda Rai and Prataparudra. Both of them were, administrators. But Prataparudra was still actively engaged. So Lord Chaitanya treated him at a distance. But when he met Ramananda Rai was almost, almost halfway living the duty anyway. And then the moment he met Lord Chaitanya, he gave up his material activities. And then Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, all this, they were all engaged in material activities as administrators. Then once they became devotees, Lord Chaitanya, embraced them. And then it was a different level of association. So I hope that can add to whatever Prabhu had already said. Thank you very much.
Okay. I just say a few words.
Yes.
Also, we have to understand that these people are not ordinary people, are like, any ordinary king or just people administrative that we find today. They're all devotees. And sometimes they do this as a lila to show an example to the people of this age, because this happened only 500 years ago, not very long ago, like 5,000 years ago. 500 years ago is a big difference, or thousands of years ago, Lord Rama's time. So they were all associated of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They came down, and like Srila Prabhupada in recent days, he was a family man. And then he gave up all that to preach for higher principles of life. But he didn't just give it up whimsically. So in our society, we have Grihastha, Vanapasa, Sannyas. So those who are at Grihastha, doesn't mean they can just give it up. I'm going to take sannyas. Do we also have a rules so it doesn't clash? And then you have a Mataji, and then, and then society have to deal with it. So everything has a principle that we need to all work together and follow it and cooperate. So these people, like Prataparudra, they had greater responsibilities. But Lord Chaitanya also at the same time showing an example. What is a sannyasi? So he's keeping himself distance. But doesn't mean they're bad. I don't want their karma. They don't want to I want to disassociate. But he was also setting an example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a proper sannyasi. But everything a pure devotee does is showing setting an example for others. So these people, Prataparudra, the Goswamis, they were all they're all put into the situation to set an example for us, but they're also already great devotees. So it's not that they give up to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're already a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're just doing a lila. They're showing that they're attached. But we have to do the same thing. We have to, even in our society, we may be given a chance to run a temple, and we carry on and on and on. And sometimes Prabhupada one is here. Suddenly he told them, "You give up, you leave now, you go travel and preach. You manage the temple." Suddenly he did that because Prabhupada knew this man might become too attached, even manage the temple. For him, better to preach. Well, his time's up. So during that time, he was doing good. So Prabhupada, he shoved the devotees around for preaching. So he always saw the higher principle of different way of preaching Krishna consciousness, the higher principle. So Lord Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and others, they knew this. So everything they did was to set an example for others. So I just also want to add this in that point.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much.
Sometime he told his disciple, "You get married, you take sannyas, you stay brahmachari," because he knew they would be better in that situation to serve Krishna. But it's not your grihastha, you're really bad. No, we have Vaishnavas. Any ashram, Vaishnava Brahmana, or it's based on the higher principle. It's not like they have the planet we go to where only sannyasis live. No, we all go to the same place. And we are serving Krishna in different ashrams accordingly. So this varnashram is there, so we can serve Krishna according to our duty that we are good at. We're born with it. But a Brahmana can also clean the temple and cook. A Brahmana can do puja. He can study. He can give class. He can go on book distribution. He can clean the temple. This is Vaishnava. Vaishnava doesn't mean I am only doing this and that's it. I don't have time to do. I'm studying. So we have, as a manager, we have to learn how to engage people who are born with such characters. But we are Vaishnava, we can do anything for Krishna. That is the principle of devotional service. But at the same time, someone may be not very intelligent, they're good at cleaning. So they can clean, there's plenty of places to clean. Someone very intelligent, they can do certain activities. So we have facility, but doesn't mean you only do that. When the emergency, you can clean, you can cook, it's all for Krishna. That is devotional service, based on a higher principle to please Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's very interesting, especially this concluding note. It's very, very, very powerful. So, Prabhuji, like we said, we can't thank you enough for being here and sharing this Krishna Katha, Srimad Bhagavatam Katha with us all. So at this point, devotees, please bear with us. We will have to let Prabhu go because by Guru Krishna's arrangement and grace, we're going to have him again.
Hare Krishna.
But this time we're going to let him go. So we're going to kindly ask you all to please unmute, and then we chant the Lord's Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express appreciation for Prabhu's presence here and his enlightenment. Jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Krishna
Krishna.
Hare
Rama.
Hare
Rama. Rama. Hare.
Jai.
See you again.